Jesus fucking Christ, dude. One Piece chapter 840. Jesus, yo, Sanji's father. You talk about worst father in Shonen? Oh my god, I thought Jean was bad. I thought Goku was bad. I thought Sasuke was bad. Sanji's father is terrible. Yo, he basically said you're a waste of space. You're a waste of sperm. You never should have been existed. You're not worth the sperm that it was caused to conceive you. He locks him up into a dungeon and basically sentences his son to die. Oh my god. I'm so torn up over that, man. I am so torn up over that because like Sanji, damn. Oh man. Okay. So let me back up a little bit because I only turn that into like 2 minutes just ranting raving on that. Like, dude, like I'm so shocked over what happened with Sanji and his father, but there's a lot going on here that you got to unpack. So I gotta applaud Oda once again. Since we've been in the new world, one of the things we've been seeing is just how much science matters. Oda's been tackling some very tough conversations, whether it be slavery, racism, whether it be child experimentations, the dark web, and now you have the cloning thing going on. Like, I thought that was interesting, that basically the whole Germa army is consisting of soldiers who are clones who don't even know that they're clones. I thought that was interesting, and I also thought it was interesting that Sanji's father has ties to Dr. Vegapunk. So we're once again seeing Vegapunk's work once again, popping up in the new world, and it's very interesting that it's kind of gone in that direction, and now you see what Big Mom was really trying to do. So I thought that was interesting, and I like how one of the lines on there is how Sanji's father escaped being captured by the world government, and he's continued the research, and he's essentially figured out the blueprint for creating life. Essentially, Sanji's father is God with science, and that's one of those things I'm like, okay, this is going to end terribly wrong at some point. Like, I wonder where this is going, but one of the things that really made me gravitate towards this is, as you guys know, like, I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, and all those clones, the genome soldiers, were basically clones that were taken from Big Boss's DNA, so the father of Solid Snake, and their failed experiments. And you can kind of look at these Germa soldiers as being the same thing, only in this case, like, they are not as potent as Sanji's brothers, but at the same time, they're at that moment where they aren't necessarily human, but they're not human excellence like Sanji's siblings. And I like how in that moment where, all the children are getting their test results, and you find out that Sanji's brothers at a very young age had the strength and intelligence and dexterity of grown adults, yet Sanji was considered to be a weakling simply because Sanji was developing at the rate that a normal child at his age should do. That was heartbreaking. That was really heartbreaking, but it's one of those things, like, if you look at like Sparta and some of these ancient societies, I mean, that's the stance that was kind of taken. But when his father catches Sanji, and Sanji is making the food for the rat, and he's cooking for the rat, Sanji's father says, your mother's dead, stop cooking for rat, never cook again. He says, like, you're lagging behind your brother and your sister, you're a waste of space, you need to work 10 times, no, 100 times harder in order to close the distance. You see the cruel childhood that Sanji had, where when he has moments where you see the kind-hearted young boy that he was, all of a sudden his brothers are picking on him, Sanji's getting beat left and right. This was so crazy. This was so crazy to see exactly what Sanji went through. And now I'm understanding why, when we were in that, I believe, the Annie's Lobbies part, when I said, like, okay, Sanji, it was either Annie's Lobby, no, I know what this was. This was Thriller Bark, where you had the, I think it was the clear fruit, where Sanji was saying he wanted that fruit, and that's the fruit that allows you to become invisible. And I made the joke at the time. I said, well, Sanji probably wanted that fruit to become invisible because somebody probably touched him when he was a little boy. And you guys said, yo, you're right that he had a messed up childhood, but you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong about that. That's so messed up that you said. A lot of you guys, said, like, this one of those times where, like, you're close, but you're completely off map right here. And so I totally see it now, because I can see why Sanji wanted to be invisible, because he was basically the bane of existence for his family. Nothing he ever did measured up, and the few things that he took happiness in, he was basically having those things stripped away from him. So this was heartbreaking to see. This was really heartbreaking to see just moments like that. Now, the other thing that I found very interesting is how, once again, Sanji's sister Reiju was looking at him. She's saying, like, look, I have to laugh. I have to go along with it. Otherwise, they'll pick on me too. So that's adding to the theory that I have that eventually she's going to be playing a huge role in Sanji potentially getting off of Whole Cake Island, maybe even getting out of this marriage. That's going to be very interesting to see how Oda kind of builds on that relationship between those two. But when Sanji's father is holding basically that press conference, he's like, oh, I had a promising son. Can't believe he died. It was a shipwreck. And his brothers are like, oh yeah, I wonder how he died. Did the useless scum really die? And Sanji's sister just has this expression. And she's just looking like, I don't buy this 1 minute. And you see Sanji with a helmet on his head. He's being taken down into the dungeon. He's crying for his father to save him. Then he gets the most heartbreaking news ever. He gets told that your father wanted this to happen. You're not good enough to be his son. You're gonna be executed. That was so heartbreaking to see. Like that panel where Sanji is crying, his eyes are just wide open, and he's behind the bars, the black background, so basically he's stuck in the abyss, and he says, wait guys, I don't want to be here. Let me out. Don't just leave me here. I'm scared. I'm gonna die. Like, seeing that and seeing how young he was so heartbreaking, but to see how he's overcome so much, it just makes me love this character so much more. And what I really love about the start of the chapter is how Sanji gets sick to his stomach when he finds out about basically the cloning experiments, and he starts to lay it in on his brother Ichi. He starts to lay it in on him, and what ends up happening is they use the whole thing with Zeff and everything that's going on in the East Blue against him, and says like blood will run through the East Blue if you don't pump your brakes for a second. So I like seeing how Sanji took that beating all for the sake of keeping Zeff alive. But what this really tells me is that Sanji's in a bind. Sanji's in a bind. Like, I don't know if Luffy can save him at this point. I think the best option might be to let Sanji, as much as this is gonna hurt, the best option might be to let Sanji marry Pudding and cement his relationship with Big Mom. I know that the Straw Hat Pirates by extension might be brought into, there's no might, they would be brought in. So Luffy's gonna fight against that, but at the same time, I think Sanji has the crew's best interest at heart. This is gonna be interesting to see how this goes, because I think if Sanji could get something worked out to where the Straw Hat Pirates aren't brought into Big Mom's fold, I think Luffy needs to let him go. Because while Sanji would be miserable, at the same time, Sanji's in a position where if something happens to his brothers, he could potentially turn everything around. You know, sometimes you have to know when to let go. So that's gonna be my question to you guys. How do you feel about the fact that Sanji is basically in a lose-lose position? How do you feel about that? Do you think Luffy, whenever Luffy catches up to Sanji, do you think Luffy needs to let Sanji go? Or do you think that, or did you think, I forget that a lot of you guys aren't reading this as I'm reading it, you guys are already caught up, but did you think that Luffy was gonna find a way to rescue Sanji? And what were your best running thoughts at the time? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.